Okay, Tech Math 2. We're working on Review 7-8, Part 2. Again, we covered this in class, and I'm just doing it again on video, so it was a while ago. And again, I'm skipping over some of the problems, so don't worry if it goes from 7 to 9, it's supposed to. So number 6 has t is equal to the square root of m squared minus 2a. They want us to solve for a. So what we are going to do is square both sides. That'll get that a out of the square root. So t squared is equal to m squared minus 2a. Subtract m squared from both sides. T squared minus m squared is equal to negative 2a, and then divide everything by negative 2. And so now at this point, you can leave it like this. I'm fine with you leaving it like this. You could also distribute the negative throughout. And leave it like that. Or if you're checking with your actual review, the answer they have is they just switched those two places around and wrote it like that. Any of those three answers are okay. You can just leave the negative on the 2. It doesn't matter to me. All right, let's look at number 7. So number 7 is solve for p, and they have t is equal to 2 pi square roots of p over d. So what we want to do first on this one is divide out the 2 pi. We want to isolate the square root. So I divide both sides by 2 pi. Here it cancels. So now we have t over 2 pi is equal to the square root of p over d. And now we square both sides. Now, you have to be careful when you're squaring both sides. On this one, t squared, everybody gets that. But on the bottom, 2 pi times 2 pi is 4 pi squared. Lots of people forget the squared on the pi. Do not forget the squared on the pi. And then we're almost done. We got p over d. We want just p. So let's multiply both sides by d. Sometimes we would multiply it like by the reciprocal, but in this case we don't have to because we want the p to stay right where it is. So the d's cancel, and there's our final answer. dt squared over 4 pi squared is equal to p. Okie dokie. So that's number 7. Next, we're going to jump to number 9. Because I'm doing the problems that are like on the test that you're going to take. Also, just a reminder, really prepare for the test. Go over these review problems just like you're taking it. I know with the you're taking it online, and so you'll have like your notes out or whatever. But even with that, it is time sensitive. So you have 2 hours to get the test complete after you start it. And if you're looking up how to do it, it's likely you're going to run short on time. And I don't want you to do that. So make sure you are prepared as if you were not using your notes. All right? So let's, this is solve for b. Ooh, this is going to be a problem. We square both sides. That's not a problem. We've been doing that trick all day. But here comes the problem. We're going to cross multiply. And it sounds like Marley is not happy with something outside. B. All right, so we cross multiply. We have a squared times 1 minus b. That's a squared minus a squared b. equals b. Now a lot of people circle it and go, oh, I solved for b. You didn't solve for b. You've got b in your answer also. So we actually have to red rover that over, plus a squared b plus a squared b, and we got a squared equals b plus a squared b. Now we have to factor, like opposite distributive property. Factor out a b. We write it out front, empty set of parentheses to figure out what goes inside. We divide each term by whatever we wrote out front. So b divided by b is 1. The plus is still right there. And the b's cancel. A squared is equal to a squared. So almost done. Now we just have to finish it, divide both sides by what's being multiplied by the b. In this case, it is 1 plus a squared. If you want to keep the parentheses on there, go right ahead. Do not do anything silly like canceling a squared. You cannot cancel a squared ever. It's being added, not multiplied. If it were being multiplied, then you would be able to cancel. But since it's being added, that's all one entity. And there's the answer for number 9. So now we're going to jump to number 12. So number 12 is 2 equations they give us. And they tell us to eliminate D and solve for M. So what we're going to do is they already have it solved for D, so we're going to take this and we're going to eliminate it by substituting. So H is equal to something squared T. Instead of D squared T, we're going to replace it with MP. Now, PM times PM or MP times MP, it doesn't matter which order you put them in, I did it that order, is P squared M squared T. Is equal to H still. And now they want us to solve for M. So we're going to divide everything that's not an M. Okay, so this one is a little trickier because now it would be great if that was it, but we're not done because that's equal to M squared. So I still have to just get M by taking the square root of both sides. And again, normally we put a plus or minus in front of there. They never worry about that in here, so we're not going to worry about it. This is being multiplied. Unlike the one before where it was being added, we couldn't do anything to it. This is being multiplied, so this one can come out. This is going to end up as our final answer. The square root of H over T, and then times, if we take 1 over P squared, we can do the square root of that. And so our final answer is going to be 1 over P square roots of H over T. Okay, so that's number 12. Number 13. And 14. Okay, so 13. Same deal for 13 and 14. We're going to substitute to eliminate. So 13 looks like this. S is equal to the square root of A plus D. And A is equal to D over S. And they tell us to eliminate D, solve for A. Eliminate D, solve for A. So we got to get that equal to D. That's really easy, right? We just cross multiply. So we have AS is equal to D. And now we're going to take that AS and we're going to put it in where D used to be. So we have S is equal to square root of a plus as. Square both sides. Get the a's out of the from under the square root sign there. It's an equation, so we're allowed to do that. So s squared is equal to a plus as. Oh, trouble in River City here. We want to solve for a, but what we're going to have to do is factor out an a. And whenever we factor, we write it out front, we do an empty set of parentheses, and whatever we wrote out front, we write underneath. And now those canceled, it'd just be 1. That plus stays a plus. Those canceled, it'd just be s. And then that's equal to s squared. And now we just divide 1 plus s on both sides, 1 plus s. And again, it's not being multiplied, it's being added. So we cannot cancel. I'm just going to leave it exactly like that. There is our answer for number 13. And then number 14, I think we're going over the time limits. Number 14, similar. It's a little tiny bit tougher. Let's take a look at 14. We got t is equal to the square root of r squared minus v squared. And we got v is equal to ks. And they want me to eliminate v, solve for s. Okay, so they already have it solved for v, so we'll put this in right there. And voila, no more v. But still not an easy problem. We want to solve for s. What ks times ks is k squared s squared. And now we want to get rid of that square root sign, liberate the s. So we're squaring both sides. We cannot distribute a square root over a plus or minus. That's why we can't just say that's r and that's just ks. Can't do it because they're not being multiplied. They're being subtracted. So we're stuck with squaring both sides. R squared minus k squared s squared. And this is a bit trickier. We're going to subtract off the r squared. So you got t squared minus r squared is equal to negative k squared s squared. And so now we're going to divide both sides by negative k squared. Oh boy. So this time I am going to do what the book does. I'm not going to leave a negative on there. I am going to distribute the negative. So it's like multiplying the top by negative and the bottom by negative. So we have negative t squared plus r squared over k squared. Normally I don't really care about that, but in this case I wanted to do that because I'm going to take now the square root of both sides, and again normally there's a plus or minus there, but we're never worried about the negative in this course. On the top I can't do anything. I can rearrange it so it's r squared minus t squared, but I could have negative t squared plus r squared. I can't do anything with the square root sign. On the bottom, the square root of k squared, I can do that as just k. And that is the end of part 2. Continued in part 3.